Hi, I'm Donna and this is Charlotte. We're from Pimms and Needles. Thank you for joining us. This podcast is brought to you with Point North. They're supporting our project, which is called Bloom in Life.
And it's through a fund called Enriching Later Lives. And it's all about providing information for women in midlife to help navigate really difficult situations and kind of facilitate positive change.
Hi and welcome. We're really excited this morning to be joined by Kate Chaytor-Norris. Kate is going to be telling us all about nutrition. So welcome to our podcast, Kate.
Oh, well, thank you so much for having me.
Thank you.
Huge pleasure.
Thank you. Well, just to get us started, could you tell us a little bit about your role as a nutritional therapist?
Yeah, wow. I mean, I kind of have expanded my role as a nutritional therapist over time because I've realised that when people come and see me and they've got kind of physical symptoms, very much that's an expression of emotional kind of stuff going on. So I've done, alongside the nutrition, I do a lot of kind of emotional stuff as well.
Is that like holistic-y?
Yeah, really holistic.
Reiki and things? Or?
No, I don't do Reiki. I'm very aware of energy, but I don't do energy work on clients. The trouble is, if I start doing all of those things, they'd be there all day. And my consultation, the initial one can be up to kind of 2 hours. Mm-hmm. And I just sort of think, yeah, I'm going to have to sort of stay in one lane. But no, I mean, I just adore my job. I see so many fascinating people and with a huge range of different things. I mean, I don't really specialise, although I have seemed to attract a lot of people with huge amounts of stress. Mm-hmm. And that has such an enormous impact on the body. I mean, it's huge. I would say that would be the single most damaging thing that we can do to our bodies. Yeah, is stress, because it means that, you know, when we are in that stress state, nothing in the body works optimally, because you're basically, you know, our stress response is so out of date in that, you know, our body only understands saber-toothed tiger around the corner, not, you know, being late for a meeting or having a million emails to deal with. So it basically, all the housekeeping jobs go on the back burner, you know, things like digestion, detoxing, immune system, because your body is just in fight, ready to run or attack. So, and if you've got somebody who's sitting in that state all the time, it has a really profound effect long term.
So how does that kind of show up then in our bodies? What do people come to you? What would be
their symptoms?
Yeah.
Actually, I mean, it could be anything.
Yeah.
But, you know, when you've got a lot of stress running in the system, it has a huge impact on the kind of hormones, not so much sex hormones, although they are included. But if you're producing a lot of cortisol, that affects your blood sugar levels. So they're sort of swinging up and down. So kind of people who are really not good at keeping their blood sugar levels even. So if you kind of get dizzy, irritable, wobbly, sort of when you get hangry, then that means that your body is not being able to control your blood sugar levels well. It means that your adrenal glands that produce adrenaline but also cortisol are tired. And so when your blood sugar level dips a certain amount of time after a meal, that there isn't enough cortisol to bring it back up. So you get those kind of symptoms.
Okay.
Generally, you know, that kind of wired and tired feeling, you know, and you can't switch off, can't relax, don't sleep very well.
That sounds like me.
I was going to say,
Well,
definitely.
it's really common. And I think we've created a world which is just not conducive to happy, healthy human bodies. We're just too busy. So it's about, you know, teaching people giving people permission actually to look after themselves, because we're all being driven by something. And working out, you know, because people go, oh, I haven't got time for that. And I'm like, well, let's just work out even, you know, 5-10 minutes a day can make a big difference. You know, and it's about listening to people and looking at their lives, how they work, you know, and how we can fit in different things to help them make their body feel safe, really, because that's what the main aim is.
I'm classically that person, especially with food, where I just think, I say exactly that, I'm too busy. I mean, neither of us are the best, really. We're not hugely interested in cooking and things like that, are we? And I'm
Fortunately, we've got husbands that are.
Brilliant. Oh, that's fantastic.
But yeah, you're completely right. I do that all the time. I haven't got time. I haven't got time to think about that when it's so important to be thinking what you're actually putting inside.
I know.
But we just brush it off, don't we? And think.
Well, I think it's that whole thing that, yes, nutrition and the importance of food has just been kind of sidelined.
Yeah.
So it's like that sort of instant quick fix. Let's just create something that's really convenient and speedy. And the trouble is with all the kind of ready-made stuff, it has all sorts of stuff in it, which is just not what human bodies want to be eating. And of course, when we eat stuff that our body doesn't recognize, it then brings the immune system in to go, well, what's that? And of course, then you've got a sort of over-alerted immune system, which is basically is inflammation. Inflammation is your body's response to anything that's not right, whether it's stress or toxins or, people think of kind of bacterial and viral infection really being the immune activators, but actually anything that's not good for our health will involve the immune system.
Right.
And then, people become chronically inflamed, and that's where I see so many people with things like fibromyalgia or kind of pain in the body where they go to the doctor and there's kind of no explanation. The body's just feeling out of sorts, and it needs some TLC.
Wow. And how would you manage that? How would you sort of dissect and get to the bottom of what the problem is? And then
With something like fibromyalgia, well, it's, those kind of things are really complex. And it's looking at all of the underlying things that could be triggering it. So yes, we have trauma and stress. That's probably one of the biggest triggers. But you also want to look at gut health, because if our guts and our digestion's out of order, disordered, then we can get something called leaky gut. I don't know if you've heard of leaky gut. So leaky, it sounds terribly alarming, but it's really common. So our gut, the top layer of your gut wall is 1 cell thick. It's very thin so that you can absorb food through it. But the downside is it can be damaged incredibly easily. So you then get food proteins leaking through into the bloodstream. And the immune system goes, well, that shouldn't be there. We need to create antibodies to that. So that's where you're getting all the intolerance is, setting up, because the immune system then creates antibodies to that food. And every time you eat it, your body's reacting.
Right.
So we need to look at gut health and make sure that somebody's got a really good, robust gut. And we can also have things living in our guts. I mean, there is a huge amount of life living in there.
really?
Oh, enormous. I mean, to put it into perspective, for every 1 cell in your body, you have 10 bacteria in your gut. I mean, it's mind-boggling. So we have good and bad in there, but we need the good guys to be running the show. And when they aren't, and some of the pathogenic bacteria can make our gut more leaky, so you then get stuff, causing lots of inflammation. So that's one side of things. Also making sure that you're actually digesting properly, because again, if you've got somebody who's sitting in a very stressed body, the body goes, oh, well, I haven't got enough time to produce or energy to produce enough stomach acid or digestive enzymes or all those kind of things to help us break our food down properly. So you then don't break your food down very well. And then there's all sorts of kind of nutritional deficiencies. And one of the big problems I find is that a lot of people are on antacid medication. And of course, when they're on that, it stops you digesting properly. So long term, I find if people have been on PPIs or omeprazole or lansoprazole, all those kind of things, they can get things like osteoporosis because they're not absorbing their nutrients properly.
Right, okay.
So it's kind of multifaceted, this, and then our toxic exposure. I mean, gosh, that's enormous now. and making sure that people are really helping their liver to do the detoxing, which happens mostly at night. So that's when the good sleep comes in, and just drinking clean water, because our tap water now is not terribly clean. It's got all sorts of things in it that shouldn't be there.
Right.
Particularly, my biggest bugbear is all the medications that people are taking, and that all gets peed into our water system. So there's a lot of hormones, HRT, people on the pill, and that's messing about with our hormones when we drink the water.
Really?
Yeah. So one of the big factors, sorry, is this really alarming?
No, it's really
Mind-blowing.
Well, I wrote a book about this because I was so passionate. I just so want people to know about this stuff. But, with the huge levels of breast and prostate cancer that are rising, a factor of that is that we are getting over-hormoned from what we are absorbing, with water, but also things that we put on our skin. Toiletries have things in them that kind of can disrupt our hormones. And so, for things like cancer, it's an environmental disease. It's our body reacting to the environment. 100 years ago, cancer rates were way down, and now they're really terrifyingly high.
It's 1 in 2 now, isn't it?
Yeah. But it's about making people aware of their environment because, I think in the past, the story is changing on this, the sort of genetic approach to cancer. Oh, well, I've got the genetic, the gene for BRCA gene for breast cancer. I'm going to get breast cancer. That's just not true. Depending on, I don't know if you've heard the phrase, genes load the gun, but the environment pulls the trigger. Right. So, you can have the gene for something, but depending on the environment that you're exposing your body to will kind of determine whether it's switched on or off.
Gosh.
So I'm always on my soapbox, just wanting to educate people about, what's in our environment that's making us sick.
Yeah.
Because everywhere you look, people have got chronic problems.
How would you, if somebody comes to you and they've got that, and you've looked holistically at all of the different things that are going on for them, do you sort of go strip everything back? How do you start with that? Do you go back to something very limited, a diet, or?
Well, it all depends on the person.
Right, yeah,
but yes. So say you've got somebody who's really chronically sick. Usually they will have some gut symptoms. They'll have acid reflux, bloating, constipation, diarrhea, all the kind of gut things that you can get. And it's about really taking it back to basics, to be putting in foods that are not going to be triggering the immune system. So, I tend to go put people onto, I don't like the word diet, but the paleo way of eating, much more caveman. Because if we think back to, when we were living in caves, nobody was eating grains. We weren't growing those things then. So there was sort of, meat, fish, eggs, if you were lucky, a lot of vegetation. But now, if you look at our kind of Western diet, it's all carbohydrate, grain-based, which is really not what our body's like. There's a fantastic doctor, many doctors in America, but one particularly that I love, Dr. Perlmutter. He's written a book called Grain Brain. He's a neurological surgeon, and he says, so he deals with people who have Parkinson's, Alzheimer's, all of those kind of things. And he said, without doubt, anybody who comes through my door, I will get them off gluten.
Okay.
Because it does so much damage in the body. And it's not just people with celiac, it does affect the gut. So I need to get them off the grains. Yeah. Some people, if they're really, really sick, the best thing to get them on is kind of chicken soup. Kind of because you're not putting lots of things in that kind of trigger the immune system. Because some people can be really reacting to vegetables, and that's because their gut bacteria is out of balance. And so we work on the gut bacteria. Sort of, if we can, we get them on fermented foods.
Right.
So sauerkraut, kimchi, kefir, if they can do dairy. And work to kind of get their gut bacteria back, because you want to be feeding the good gut bacteria with sort of vegetable fibers. That's what they like. Whereas the pathogenic bacteria loves carbohydrates and sugar.
Okay.
So when they get fed, they tend to ferment the food and they create gas and bloating. So that's why people get all this kind of uncomfortable bloating, because their bacteria is out of balance and they're feeding them the wrong things.
Okay. And would you see it as quite an instant positive response from that change in diet? Or do you think it's a slower process to start sort of healing the gut? And
it all depends on how sick the person
Right.
is. You know, sometimes you can get literally, they'll ring you, you know, a week later and they go, oh my God, it's all brilliant. But sometimes you can have things living in your gut, parasites and stuff, which we need to get rid of.
Yeah.
And that can take a little bit longer because these parasites are clever. You know, they really, you know, it's a lovely place for them to hang out. It's warm and they get fed 3 times a day. So they're not going to want to move on unless they really have to. So it's about creating an environment in the gut which makes them think, I really don't want to hang out here anymore. There's all this stuff coming at me that's not great. So, yeah, I mean, the different reactions. And I always have to say to people, you know, I'm not quite sure what your body's going to do with this.
Yeah.
If there are any problems, please just email me, you know, because we're kind of on the journey together.
Yeah.
I don't want people to sort of leave the consultation and go, oh, I'm on my own now.
Yeah.
You know, because I just don't know what their bodies are going to do. But you just can get, if you can take people back to basics, you can just get the most amazing results. You know, our bodies have the most phenomenal ability to heal, but they just need to be given the right tools in the box to do it.
So do you use sort of do you use scans and swabs and analyse poo and all that kind of thing? Or is it very
Not
much...
personally. Get it sent off to the lab.
Right,
so
okay.
basically a client would, you know, we'd say, right, well, you need to do a hormone test or a stool test, and so I get the lab to send them the kit they can do to home.
okay.
They send their samples off to the lab. The lab will send me the results, and then you know we can talk. So I don't
Come up
have
with
to.
a plan from there.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and I mean I'm quite sad really. I love it when I get results coming in. I'm like, what am I going to find? You know.
For a minute, you were going to say, I love looking at poo.
No. I discuss poo a lot with clients. It's always really exciting to see what's going on.
And in terms of like the positive effects then on your brain capacity and sort of maybe reduction of brain fog and all them things that we associate, does that start to come once, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I did a training with this fabulous doctor in America, Dr. Bredesen, who is reversing Alzheimer's. And again, Alzheimer's is an environmental disease. You know, 100 years ago, people just weren't getting those kind of things. And now, I mean, it's heartbreaking, the rates. So, yeah, brain fog is kind of, or dementia sort of further down the line. It's all about a brain that is responding to its environment. So we've got to look at, if you've got a leaky gut, the chances are you've got a leaky blood-brain barrier. So there's a barrier that should keep out things that shouldn't be in the brain. So we need to obviously, you know, heal the gut. Look at somebody's toxic load. You know, are they being exposed to, do they have mold in the house? You know, that's a big one. Or you know, do they live on a farm? Are they breathing in chemicals that are being sprayed on the fields? Electromagnetic radiation, that's a big one. That can really mess about with the body's systems. Sleep, huge. So when we, one of the big things that we do when we're asleep is our brain cells shrink a tiny bit. So it creates a vacuum in the head and you get the cerebrospinal fluid flowing up into the brain and cleaning it. And we only do that at nighttime. It can't happen in the day. So brain cleaning is really, really important. And then making sure that they've got all the right nutrients to make healthy brain tissue, you know, things like fish oils, really, really important. Essential fat from oily fish or nuts and seeds. You know, again, we generally don't eat enough of that. And if we are eating a lot of sugar in excess will stick to things inside the body and it causes so much damage and inflammation.
Hide our cakes.
Well, they're hidden behind the tea.
They do. They're well out of sight.
But yeah, I'm sort of always trying to find ways of helping people to eat, and getting them more savoury. Because the trouble is, sugar is so addictive. They've proved it's as addictive as cocaine is.
Yeah.
And of course, if you were a drug addict, then people would be going, get off the drug. But if you're a sugar addict, I really say to people, go cold turkey.
Okay.
Because if you have a bit, you just want just want more.
Yeah.
And it's really difficult. And generally, rule of thumb, it's sort of hellish for 2 weeks because the cravings are, and also if you've got out of balance bacteria, the pathogenic bacteria love sugar. So they will make you crave sugar because they want to be fed. So very often people's cravings is not necessarily them, it's what's living in their gut that wants feeding.
So we're on an afternoon, come 3 o'clock, we're in the office and we're like, what can we have? What have we got in the cupboards? And we'll be
well, it's that kind of natural dip time, isn't it? And you're just like, I need something to kind of keep me going.
Yeah. So do you think you can train people into a more savoury?
Oh, 100%. Yeah.
For me.
Yes, definitely. And it's about, I would say, I guess one of the most important things is obviously, people talk about intermittent fasting and, maybe not having breakfast, or whenever you break your fast in the day, whatever time it is, the thing that you put in your body will dictate what your blood sugar levels do for the rest of the day.
Oh, right.
So if you think about most people who are starting their breakfast with toast and cereal, which will spike their blood sugar levels, it spikes, you produce lots of insulin, which brings it crashing back down. And then you're like mid-morning, I need a coffee and a biscuit. Off you go again. So you spend the whole day swinging up and down, which is really hard work for the body. And insulin, for anybody who's wanting to lose weight, is your fat storage hormone. If you eat things that produce an insulin spike, it basically tells the body to store. So if we can get people on eating things that don't require an insulin response, e.g., I don't know, bacon and eggs for breakfast, people go, oh my God, bacon and eggs for breakfast. Okay, I will caveat that. The bacon ideally wants to be nitrate free. But getting protein in and fat in your breakfast is a genius way to start the day. And I have some clients, I'm going, I don't mind what you have for breakfast. Some people have chicken stew. I mean, it's just a mindset, isn't it? About, we have breakfasty things at breakfast.
Yeah.
But it could be anything, as long as it's lots of protein and fat, which will then mean that you have, hopefully, a lovely, gentle release of sugar into the system. You won't get the spike, and it will keep you going till lunchtime. But
I think that would be that's something you could change quite easily and quickly, isn't it?
Eggs are just a brilliant start to the day. They really are. And people go, cholesterol and, I shouldn't eat too many eggs. That's just old science.
Okay.
Yeah.
Eggs are the most, if you think there's everything in an egg to create a life, it's got to be perfect.
Yeah.
It's just magic. And so, I'm a massive fan of eggs, or just, getting that savoury breakfast in. It makes a huge difference. And, for kids, we were talking earlier about ADHD and, trying to keep their blood sugar levels even, when they go off to school. And, very often kids are having Frosties or Cocoa Pops and they go to school and they're expected to sit and they're just like, wired. Getting protein in is...
And that's probably a bit of a response. If you go back in time where we did have more time, maybe, or mum was at home, and you could have the time and energy to think, we've got time, I'll make a cooked breakfast. Yeah. That was probably actually much better than us rushing around now and just having a quick coffee.
Even fruit sometimes. I'd boil fruit near the front door and you think, but still that's that sugar spike, isn't it, off some fruit?
I always often say, people go, oh God, I haven't got time to cook breakfast in the morning. I'm going, okay, make a big frittata, chuck a slice inside. If you're running out the door with sort of people that you take breakfast to work with you, just take a big slice of that to work with you. It's a really convenient. When my kids were growing up, I'd always try and have something like that in the fridge to, because teenagers just eat mountains and they're like always hungry. And it's just like things in the fridge that they can just help themselves to.
Yep.
Rather than heading towards the biscuit tin. But it is hard. It's a sort of a mindset, but people generally start to feel so much better.
Yeah. And do you live that way yourself? Do you?
I do.
You do.
I do.
You're a good
I do. Well, I think it's so hard, when you do the research and you see what's happening to people's bodies. I mean, goodness me, I didn't do it overnight. It's over time.
Yeah.
I've been doing this a long time. I used to be a Galaxy girl.
Yeah.
I now eat 100% chocolate. It's over time chipping away and just changing things. But, things like, making sure all my toiletries are natural and clean. I do have a water filter at home.
And is that the water filter that are they recommended?
I would,
They're things that connect to the tap. I've seen those.
Yeah, ideally, if you want to get the hormones out, you want a reverse osmosis water filter. There's some really good ones out there. But the downside of reverse osmosis, and that's why I can always, send you information which you could, give out to people. The reverse osmosis takes everything out, which does mean that it also takes out the minerals. So a good reverse osmosis will also remineralize the water. So you're then getting it really. And then an even better one is one that also structures the water, which is basically our body can only use structured water. So when we take water in that isn't structured, which is basically what comes out of a tap, our body has to put energy into structuring it before it can use it. So it's the whole water thing is absolutely incredible. I mean, I don't know if you've heard of a woman called Veda Austin who does, you can put energy into water and then freeze it, and it will give you different crystals and shapes and images.
I've seen all this because it was around the speaking negatively to water and with rice in and how it can turn black, and if you speak positively, I watched a lot about that.
And if you think we are 90% water, our thoughts have energy and all that kind of positive thing. And I know it's such an easy thing, think positively, but just trying to be aware of where your thoughts are going, again, has a really profound effect on the body.
It's like we could all do with just having a month out of our lives where we all just stopped. We went, we're going to just all do this.
Do you know, that would be my dream. If I won the lottery, I'd set up a place where people could just come for a month and learn, and get themselves back in balance so that then when you go out into the big bad world, it's easier because your body's kind of reset. I do. One of the things I do is an online course called Inflammation Reset, which basically covers all the things that I've been talking about. And it's an hour every Tuesday night. There's a WhatsApp group, so we kind of can join in chatting throughout the week if people have got questions or need resources or help. And that's my kind of bid to try and spread the net a bit wider. And I love my one-to-ones, but I kind of want to get this information out a bit more.
That sounds amazing.
I think there's so many people. I mean, at Pims and Needles, a lot of the ladies that come to our groups are sort of in midlife and coming up against menopause, which is a big one. And probably been living with lots of things going on in their bodies and not really, just putting up with it, I suppose. And thinking, where do I go? How do I start? What do I do? And that sounds absolutely perfect.
Well, it does break my heart because by the time people generally come through my door, they have been round the houses. Taking more and more medication. They're a bit desperate.
And do you feel like maybe doctors and it's a little bit misguided, or they're not quite set in the right direction, or...
I think conventional medicine is absolutely outstanding for acute problems. If you have an accident or, get yourself to hospital, brilliant. But the problem with conventional medicine is that it's run by the pharmaceutical industry. So the only kind of tools in the box they have are pills. And so, for instance, say somebody has high blood pressure. they go to the doctor and they'll get put on high blood pressure pills, which is kind of squashing the symptom, but not actually going, okay, so why is this body, the other name for high blood pressure is hypertension. It's kind of in the name. So you're looking at, what is happening in that person's world, whether what they're eating or sleeping or working or, to create that hypertension. And then working from the underlying causes to see if we can bring things down. Magnesium is one of the most important minerals that we have in our world, in our bodies, because it's the relaxing mineral. So if you think calcium and magnesium work together, calcium contracts things, magnesium relaxes things. And because we're all so wired and busy, we burn up magnesium like nobody's business. And everybody I have come across seems to be deficient in magnesium.
Well, I've been taking a magnesium supplement. Yeah, I was going to ask you where you sat with supplements. So I was funny because my friends group chat now, what supplements are you taking? I've just started taking this. This feels better.
Yeah, brilliant.
And again, but the magnesium is definitely helping me sleep. It's because I know you can take it on a morning to help you focus. And I've been taking it on an evening because I was having more restless sleep, where I've always been a really sound sleeper. But it's been amazing for me.
No, it is. And I think I generally recommend people take it at the end of the day because it does help people sleep. And, as we've said, sleep is so important. And sometimes I'd love to say that I can do everything with food, but actually when people become so depleted, they're just, it's not going to be enough with the kind of general nutrients. And then, there's lots of amazing kind of herbs and spices, and they all have medicinal qualities.
The turmeric sort of is meant to be good for inflammatory, isn't it? And the one that I swear by is the mushrooms, the gummies that I could not get through my day without those.
No. Them, aren't we? Absolutely, they're fantastic. I mean, mushrooms are again the most incredibly amazing healers. And if you were in Japan and you were diagnosed with cancer, they would automatically treat you with mushrooms.
Wow.
They have the most amazing ability for healing. When you start looking at what they do out in the world and all their kind of mycelium and how they're all communicating with everybody. And it's magical when you start looking at the natural world. And I kind of work on the premise that Mother Nature always knows best, and she always will provide a way to heal something. But it's just about working out what that body needs.
It's thinking, I guess, in a more preventative kind of way, isn't it? As opposed to we've got a problem now, what can we do? How can we treat it?
Yes.
We all sort of looked a little bit more into the future.
Prevention.
How can we prevent things and look after ourselves?
Yeah, it's a difficult one.
It's food as well, though, isn't it? I think sometimes when you look at a label, like I bought something the other day, I can't remember what it was, but I looked at the label and it was till 2028. And I was thinking, I'm not going to eat that because if it lasts that long, it's not real food. It's too long.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So I think sometimes you're sort of more aware of it, aren't you?
And the ultra-processed foods really mess about with your gut bacteria. And of course, the food manufacturers, their remit is to make money. So they're going to make things that have in their foods that are addictive and taste good, but they're not interested in your health.
Yeah.
And that's the problem. We kind of have to start taking responsibility and not trusting that what we're buying on the shelf is necessarily good for us, even if it's got a label saying healthy. Because I'm always, people go, oh, well, I have those healthy cereal bars. And I'm going, have you looked how much sugar is in those cereal bars? I mean, if you work on the premise, if you look on the back of a packet, and they sort of break it down into fats and proteins and carbs. So under the carbohydrate bit, it'll say of which sugars. If you work on the premise that 4 grams of sugar is a teaspoon.
Right.
So, I've looked at some of the sort of, healthy flavoured yogurts. They've got 5-6 teaspoons of sugar in each pot.
God, that's crazy.
And you're like, how can a body be expected to be healthy? It tastes yummy, but it's kind of just not doing us any good.
So what would your top tips be then if you had sort of a few top tips of to people that want to change. So maybe the water filter could be one of them. Checking out the sugar.
And making sure that you're drinking enough, because when we become chronically dehydrated, our thirst mechanism stops working. So it stops telling us that we're thirsty. So that's key. And protein for breakfast, protein and fat for breakfast. And don't be scared of fat. You know, we've all been given this message about fat being, you know, bad and making us fat and giving us heart disease. And that, again, is all old science. You know, fat is a fabulous fuel for the body. So, yeah, and sleep, I think probably might be my key. Really try. Our bodies like routine. So trying to have downtime at the end of the day. You know, if you do have to be on a screen, make sure it's in night mode, so you switch off the blue light, or just get blue light blocking glasses, and give yourself permission to kind of, you know, just a bit of self-nurturing. You know, going outside, getting your feet on the grass, grounding. I mean, I know it all sounds witchy and woo, but there's so much science behind it now. Is really, really important.
And I think sometimes when we feel unwell in ourselves, or maybe a bit down, or you know, we start doing them things, don't we?
Yeah.
But again, that's not prevention. That's just in an emergency situation.
Yeah.
So we should all be doing a little bit of that every day, shouldn't we?
Well, in a perfect world, yes, and that's what I'm always kind of jumping up and down about. But it is difficult, you know. And I think particularly men, they only start addressing things when things go wrong. You know, I think women, I guess because we're kind of generally looking after kids and we're kind of more in tune with that kind of stuff. But yes, I just sort of want to give people space to also kind of, you know, say you got a headache, rather than just taking a headache pill, go, okay, what's my body asking for?
Yeah.
Does it need a glass of water? Do I need to go and just shut my eyes for 2 minutes? You know, just ask what it's requiring.
Yeah.
Because if you get kind of quiet and intuitive, very often you can get the answers.
Yeah.
You know, which is super helpful.
Taking the time, I guess, to look. It's a bit of a multi-pronged attack.
Yeah.
You know, it's looking at different avenues. And I think that's perfect, you know, because our sort of podcast, and that's our kind of focus really, isn't it, for this, is looking at different ways that we can really help ourselves to live better into old age and age better, really.
No, absolutely. It's just I mean, we've only got our bodies really at the end of the day.
Yeah.
We need to kind of look after them.
Well,
it's been brilliant.
It's been absolutely fascinating. I think we could probably talk about this for a long time.
I think we come back.
Yes.
I think we need to hear about your book. So is your book more about this, and how would people find it?
Yeah, well, my book is I Wish My Doctor Had Told Me This. There is more to our healing than medication. And it, basically goes through all the topics that we've talked about, and with sort of lots of top tips. There's recipes in there, and resources for where to get toxin-free this or water filters or that kind of thing. So, and you can get that on my website or Amazon. And I did want to say, if anybody is interested in doing my course, I can give you a discount code for your listeners. And it would be, I've had really amazing feedback from it. So
it sounds brilliant.
That's great. And if people were interested in one-to-one support, you are local, aren't you?
Yes. Yeah. I'm just sort of south of Bedale.
Yeah.
So just email me and we can sort something out.
Perfect.
Fabulous. Well, thank you so much for coming on. It's been a pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you for having me.
And it's been fascinating. It's not exactly what I thought it would be, but it's better.
Yeah.
It's been really, really good.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks.